Hi, this is Dave Chenault, and I'm going to take you through how to set up a new user and security for that user in SideKick 365 XRM. So let's talk about first, how do you invite someone into SideKick? If you're running SideKick on site, all you have to do is just add them to your AD environment or however you're authenticating users. And then we'll go ahead and assign them permissions within the system and assign a business unit to them. If they're in Office 365, you want to set up an account for them in Office 365, or there's a new capability where you can come in and invite users in through a live ID. And so I could put in an ID here. I can then go ahead and set an email. If they accept, they'll be added in to take a look at the site. And these are extranet users outside of the Office 365 tenants today. It's a brand new capability, and it's really very interesting, and it helps you collaborate with people that are outside your organization. So let's assume that you've gone ahead and you've invited someone in, rather on site or in the cloud, and you want to now go and start adding this person in to use the site. The first thing you got to do is go into Site Actions. Let's go to Site Settings, and we're going to add them into a SideKick group that we have here. So let's go to People and Groups. And we're going to add them into a group that gives them access to the site. If they don't have access to this site, then they can't get in at all. They need to be part of this group called SideKick Users. And that's the one I'm showing right here when we come in. So I open up SideKick Users, and add them into here with my New button, type in their credentials. Could be a Hotmail account, could be internal, whatever is valid for your environment. And send them a welcome email and say, now you're able to at least come into the site. Okay, so that's sort of step one. Now let's keep going. In SideKick, there are two ways that we manage security. One is based on long-lived associations and relationships that you've got. So it could be that you're part of a region, part of a sales division, part of a sales office, and also we base it on who you work with. So it's very common to have teams of people, inside, outside reps, those kind of things. And they're defined in long-lived relationships that we store in lists. We call this structured security. And what we do is we assign permissions to every item in SharePoint based on these relationships that you set up when you configure this user to use the system. It's really great because it lets you scale the system with a lot of security, but not have to worry as a user about trying to maintain the same permissions across all the items in the system. So first things first, what you have to do is make sure that you have a business unit set up for that operational or organizational unit. So it could be a division, it could be a product line, it could be a country, it could be a sales territory. It's really wide open of what you want to do. And let's assume that you've set up some kind of a Southwest unit. Then you come in here to security, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at these different securities that we've got set up now. And you define for that business unit the long-lived security associations that you want assigned every time you create something for that business unit. So it might be there's a sales manager for a region. So the region might be Southwest, and you could assign a manager here. You could give that person read or edit capability, and then you could also say they can only access the top level. For example, in an account, they can only see the account and not all the opportunities, emails, documents, etc. Or they could see everything. You can also assign it based upon a list. So you could say, here's the profile for the lead. Here's the profile for the account, for the opportunity. And this is very common, actually. In a lot of places, they want the salespeople to see all the leads and the accounts, but they only want the management team to see the opportunities unless you own it. So there might be one profile for leads and accounts, and there might be a separate profile that does not include the other salespeople for anything in that business unit that's an opportunity. Okay, so again, you define the relationship here, the security relationship for this particular business unit, and is it read or edit, and can they access the top level or everything, and is it for a specific list. Okay, so that's the first piece. And if you make a change to it, you want to add a person or you want to add a group, and you've changed it, just hit this button, save, and it'll update security everywhere in the system. Let's take a look now at user-based security. Okay, so let's say I wanted to add a new user security profile. This is what you do when you work with people irrespective of the business unit. So there's often the case where someone might work in many different regions, but they always work with their inside rep or the product manager, or you name it. It could be any relationship you want to define here. So what this does is, based on the owner field, okay, you can assign, this is a person in the system, you can assign different people or groups to that person and give them permission levels of read or edit. And a read is just what you think, it's read only. Edit lets you update, delete, add to that list item as well, okay, or to the list. So again, this is how you set it up for associations that have to do with people. Okay, so when we create something in the system, let's take a look at how this works. Oh, and one last thing, you assign a default business unit here for this person. So let's take a look at how this all kind of works with structured security. I'll go back to the home page here, and I'm going to add in a new account. Okay, and so I'm logged in right now as myself, and when I say new account, what you're going to see is it's going to default with my name and my default business unit, which is Skylight Systems. And we'll scroll down here and take a look at it as soon as it comes up. And this is running in Office 365 as well, so you can see kind of the speed of this. So there I am. There's my ownership sort of ID, if you will, and there's my business unit I'm associated with. I can override this if I want with a drop-down, so I don't have to always be with that business unit. But what's really great is when I save this, the system takes a look at the settings that I've got over here in the business unit security here and in the user security here, and then it goes through and with workflow it applies those permissions to this item so that only people that have those associations with me can see this, and they have the permissions that I've set up. Now there's no reason you have to stop on 2 dimensions. We just have 2 dimensions in the out-of-the-box implementation. You can have as many as you want. You could have 100 associations here, meaning maybe I would have based on the user, maybe I'd have it based on the business unit, maybe I'd have it based on a product line as well. Maybe I'd have it based on an age group. Who knows? You could set up a lot of different dimensions here for storing security associations. It doesn't really matter to the system. We can adjust it, or you can adjust it, so that it looks at all those different stored associations and applies it to the item. Now, your question is probably, well, what happens if I've got read set up, a read permission in one profile, and I have edit set up in another profile, and I'm applying both to the same item? What happens then? Well, we take the higher permission level, meaning if you're assigned read from one profile and edit from another, you're going to get edit. And that's just the way it works, because the person meant for you to have edit capabilities. We're not going to be more restrictive if someone's trying to give you the right to edit it. So that's structured security. Okay, and that's very important as you're adding in users. You must set up a user security profile for them to start adding in items to the system. So 2 important things. One is you've got to go into the SideKick XRM group and add them to that, the SideKick group, and the other one is set up a user security profile for them. Now the last bit is around ad hoc security. That's the second way we manage security in the system. Projects are completely different than everything else in the system, because you never know who's going to be on a project. Right? This project could come together right now for just a very short time. It could be, some initiative that we're working on. A Tiger team is getting together, working on a particular marketing blitz, or it could be a campaign. So we want to be able to assign permission based on the needs of that project. Okay? So let's go into the Spanish class project and take a look at how we do that. So I have different projects that I'm assigned to that either I'm the owner or I'm a member of. And let's go into Spanish class here. And you'll see when this thing comes up that I've got a Members tab. And the Members tab lets me go in and assign people that are able to see this particular project. We call this ad hoc security. And we say, can they edit, can they read? And it's very simple. Just come in, there's a simple screen here to add people into the system. It'll come up in just a second here, and I can go look them up, etc. And I can give them edit or read. Save, and now they'll be added to the list, and those people next time they log in will be able to come and see this project. Similarly, I can take them off. Okay, so just sort of recap what I just covered. When you add in someone to the system, invite them in. You want to go in on the site actions. Let's take a look at the people, the users and groups. So let's go in there and take a look at the site settings. Okay, we'll go into site settings, into the people, users, and groups. And we'll make sure that we add this person into the SideKick users group. Okay, that gets them into the site. Then we want to come in underneath the security settings and make sure they've got a user security profile, because then they can add things. When they add an item in the system, it's going to default based on your login, and you want to make sure there's some kind of profile here so that they're able to go in and associate that profile with that item. If you don't, you'll get an error message saying, hey, set up a user security profile for this person. It could just be blank if you want. But notice here too that I've set up a person that has a Hotmail account. This is an external user. And it's very interesting that you can do that in the system. You can have external users that you invite in for a short time. They're not part of your environment. And you can invite them in through a live ID and then kick them out if you need to. Just take them out and update security. And then finally, the last way we can do it, that's that's structured security. The last way is ad hoc, and we do that with projects. So no limit on the number of dimensions that you can set up. Right now we have 2. We use the business unit, which we call security. And then we also use the user security, which is the person and how you associate them. That's structured security. That's most places in the system. But for projects, we also let you go in and do ad hoc security, adding people in and out. And you can mix and match these as your needs change in the system. It's just really up to your imagination. Okay, that's it for this first video. The next video I'm going to cover how to add in contacts, accounts, and opportunities.